Thank you, Tom. Good morning, everyone. All right. Just what I'm going to go through here today, I'm going to run through basically a plan view, a brief scope overview, take time for questions. So not everybody's going to be eager to tip their hand with specific questions, but try to get a good idea of the understanding of these projects. If you're not clear on a work type that's to be included or something that would help with the teaming arrangement, please ask those questions. This will set you up for success as you work towards that posting date. So the first project, and just want to lean and point, Kelsey will be your project manager for the next 3 jobs. So they're all under the design PID, I think it's task order, or it's the bundle PID. So these are all City of Columbus jobs. First location is Broad and Reynoldsburg New Albany Turn on the east side. So really the basis of this project is to do some turn lane improvements, some access management by installing some concrete medians and improving the signals. That's really the meat of this job. So as you kind of build your team, think to those work types. This is an older plan view that gives you an idea of the work is primarily towards the west there, and then the insets are rotated to the north. So there's a little bit of work on Reynoldsburg New Albany Road, but the big bulk of it's on Broad Street. So again, really adding turn lanes. We do want to capture some pedestrian improvements. There's a number of CODA bus stops out here as well, in addition to the ADA considerations. We want to consider CODA during construction and at the end. They've seen our scopes, and that's good input. Trying to get some of those stops on the trailing end of these locations. Definitely want to have them involved early on and have a safe operation during construction. And we're going to put the concrete medians out there. We expect concrete. I think the city's open to quick curb. If you have any kind of insight how we can limit some of those improvements or limit some of those impacts by getting a narrower median out there to try to avoid some of those expensive impacts on the outside, either right away, or utility, or any number of other things that are outside the roadway. On that, some of the key issues are right away. Obviously, the less we can take, the easier it's going to go. It's kind of built up. There's businesses on these corners, and that's not news to anybody, but want to emphasize that avoiding that's going to help out, or at least minimize the mistakes. Again, utility relocation. There's some that are DPU owned. We want to work with them, make this reasonable for them, try to make it at least it's not a win-win, at least not a losing situation for them. We don't want to require them to do a total reconstruction in this area. So kind of try to design with them in mind early on. And then Franklin County Engineer's Office has a structure that's on the southern leg of this project. If we can avoid rebuilding that, that would be ideal. There's obviously a northbound right turn lane. We're going to try to fit that in there. If we can use that existing footprint, or at least existing beam lines, we want to do that. So, a couple specialty fields. We are including structure design level 1 on this project. We want to avoid a lot of extensive structural work, but we need to be prepared to have that on this project, so we're asking that to be included in the team. And then obviously, City of Columbus and Franklin County Engineer design experience has some familiarity with their staff and their design standards. Signal will be Columbus standards. We are going to handle environmental through ODOT. Crawford Murphy Tilley is our task order consultant if we need to dip into them for any specialty tasks, but we're going to prepare the document. So it's kind of a quick overview. Any questions on that project with the concept? Any questions on work type included or anything like that? Okay. We can circle back to it if we need to. Second project on this design bundle is Cleveland and Hudson. So not to be confused with the City of Columbus project that's on the west leg on Hudson Street. It's going to do some improvements there to the three-lane section. What we want to do is add a shared use path, add some turn lanes, that type of thing. But of course the rub is that there's buildings right up to the right of way, perhaps even in it. So working within those constraints is kind of the big deal on this job. The parcels in purple there on the plan view are the ones with buildings right up to the right of way. And do the most we can to avoid total take there, but really any kind of impact is going to be stretching towards that total take. So really working around that's kind of the key issue, in addition to utilities and traffic signals and that type of thing. We do look to upgrade the signal. Go through backplates and supplemental heads and all that. We probably arrange maybe a rebuild. We do want to go through the effort of analyzing that and just not starting with a complete rebuild to begin with. So kind of working through seeing what the actual needs are. Adding a westbound right turn lane, left turn lanes on the north and south legs, and Columbus has a shared use path along this corridor long term. If we can accommodate that, we want to do that. Include that in our treatment. Again, touched on right-of-way utilities. Working with the adjacent City of Columbus project is important. I think Tracy Allen's our project manager on that, or I don't know, are we planning to switching one to that? That is the Hudson project with the City of Columbus. Okay. So Tracy Allen will be on that. They sit next to each other, so coordination on our side should be pretty good. ODOT has stops here as well, and obviously they have their rapid transit up and down in Cleveland in this location. So really working with them, accommodating them during construction and long term, we want to include that. We really include that kind of in the basis of our project from the beginning. So we're working with them and not causing any issues. And if we can make it better, we'd like to do that. So, specialty fields, Columbus, signal, and roadway design, kind of using their standards on everything. Full limits of this project are within their local limits. Again, environmental by ODOT. And we'll use our task order if we need to, particularly any remediation or any kind of ESA type activities, we'll use that with our task order. Any questions on that? Okay.
City of Columbus, is that a drainage?
Yes. Yep. That's a good question. Really, anywhere we're within the court limit on any of these safety projects, we're going to be using their BMP policy. That will be a challenge on a lot of these. So if you can think of a way to work around that and help us avoid expensive impacts due to that BMP policy, that's going to be a difference maker. So, anything else on this one? Westerville from Agler to Oakland Park. And I think this may have been called a separate location on the governor's list. All the first three of these projects are on the governor's 150 list, kind of that priority. But really what it looks like, I have the southern half of it on screen now. Looking at a signal at Albert, where there is none now, and some turn lane improvements going through Oakland Park. And then up, up through Oakland Park. I'm trying to just get the most we can out of the existing footprint. This access management nightmare out there. There's driveways all the way up and down, there's buildings close, all that type of thing. If we can avoid those impacts and just stay within the roadway footprint now and get some of these improvements and just tucking them in as best we can, it's going to be a pretty decent outcome. We do expect some utility impact even within the existing right-of-way. Just by widening out there, if we can minimize that again, that's desirable. Probably don't have the opportunity, we don't have the footprint to build any medians or to really consolidate a lot of these drives without right-of-way acquisition. So the most we can do there is what we want to do, but we don't necessarily want to get into total bids on these parcels. So, Columbus design standards, but obviously Franklin County has at least one of these routes, and maybe two on the cross streets. So involving them in the design standards there and coordinating with them is important. And again, environmental by ODOT. Questions? Okay, it's like a pre-bid meeting for a design build here. Okay, this is the next design contract. So you may have seen this as a bundle earlier on. I think it's been updated on the website. We've removed the location on Del 36, so this is actually only one location. It's State Route 423 in Bark Street in Marion County. We have station studies for all these posted if we have them available. I think the Reynoldsburg New Albany, we just have a preliminary study. We'll put more out with final posting. Columbus is still working through it, but we do have a study out here from Carpenter Market. And really what it amounts to is signal timing up and down the 423 corridor. Kind of get some coordination there, upgrading clearance intervals, and then turn lanes and access management on Park Street. So a little bit closer view, what it looks like. The green is concrete median, some channelizer stripes in red, and then you can kind of see the red hatch marks on the driveways of the northeast and southwest corners. Those are drives we're looking to close with this project. Again, closing off the median there, they're not going to be as much use in any case. They have other access points farther away. Again, just trying to improve safety on this location. So, to the north is Marion City. And to the east, I believe, is Marion County Engineer. So we're going to work with them closely. So that'll be one of the specialty areas. Don't necessarily, I know that they don't do a ton of work, they don't have a huge program, so there may not be a huge backlog of experience, but at least if you're familiar with their design standards and what they're looking at, what their signal system looks like, their setup, their technology, that's going to be a big benefit. To hit on the scope, stakeholder involvement for access management will be key. We've had some discussions with these folks, but being a large commercial enterprise, you talk to the person on the street level, they may not get back up to the owner yet. So kind of having that outreach will be important. And working with the signal design across multiple jurisdictions is important as well. We do have a 10% edge goal on this one, so just participation, not a developer. And this will also be environmental under that. Questions?
Can I ask a general question,
Sure.
please? Is it, are you guys going to have any input from the locals on the
Yeah. Yep, we've got, in this case, the county and the city came out in the field review for an initial safety study. Got some good input, kind of good history out on the site from them. In this case, they actually tried to do a safety project probably 10 years ago, if I remember right. So kind of just didn't advance due to funding. But yeah, definitely have their input on scope, and that'll be included in all of the reviews. And this one here is Eric, right? Other questions?
Question. Well, right away be included, I think was a problem in this 2 years back. I know the city was trying to acquire right away. Is that happened?
I don't know that offhand. That came up during discussion during the safety study. I don't believe it was acquired because we didn't advance the project, or I believe the city was the sponsor on that one. I don't think they were. Yeah, the question was, the city was trying to purchase right away, kind of early on in the process to facilitate this improvement during the previous project. I don't believe it was done. Okay. Next project. Near and dear to a lot of folks in this area's heart. We actually had a public meeting last week and talking about the slight stabilization project on 315 and some other jobs, and this one right to the top. The locals around here are very interested. What I have shown up here is one of three options. It's basically a J-turn or an indirect left with a signal to the south, and the thing I want to highlight to you is that we'll have three alternatives under consideration. All of them will potentially include a 3-lane section to the south. Try to help out with some of those driveways at Abbott's Field and Briar Cliff Drive. So this is one where we had a safety study completed. Right, again, another governor's list job. Had the safety study come out, and really we looked at it and said, hey, we can probably fine-tune the traffic information. We have the North Outer Belt project. Since the last run of certified traffic, we've had kind of revisiting the constraints up at 750, so fewer vehicles are able to get down here to this location. So we're potentially seeing less traffic out there, and to bring in signals and turn lanes, or the roundabout we've talked about in the past. So this is one where we're going to do a feasibility study, and there's not really a predetermined or selected countermeasure, because we expect to see so many impacts out there. We really have to fine-tune what we're looking at and really balance that, the cost, the impacts to adjacent parcels. There's a whole host of environmental constraints out here. So this is one where we're going to have to really look at it and make a hard decision. So again, kind of the options are roundabout and potentially a small diameter roundabout, just to fit it in within the footprint. So kind of a smaller diameter there. Again, the indirect left with a signal, and then your traditional turn lanes and signal. So we'll be looking at all those and seeing what the best benefit and cost is. And then we'll go through detailed design for the selected alternative. Key issues, a couple other things. We are going to be selling this. The game plan is to sell it with the slope stabilization to the north. And we also have a drainage improvement on 315 up by 750 to reduce some of the ponding on the uphill side. Most of this work is going to require a closure of 315 to be done. So we want to do all this during one construction season. We're going to be coordinating, we're going to be selling it with the slope stabilization project. So working with Arcadis as the prime there, and Stantec is our task order result for the drainage improvement. So it shouldn't just be a plain note type thing, but there's going to be some real time constraints during construction. And anything we can do to minimize that duration of construction is important. Because we're really gonna be squeezing them in some time after the Memorial Tournament, and hopefully before school starts. So, specialty fields, I want to stress environmental here. We need experience with scenic river coordinations, that's ODNR, and the riparian corridor as far as like identifying bat trees and that type of thing. Really, each tree, each tenth of an acre out here is going to matter as far as impacts. So have some experience there just in the corridor, experience in the area with public involvement. A lot of interested folks out here that are going to weigh in on the project. So having some history out here and knowledge of what people's concerns are is important. We also have historical properties on at least 2 of the corners out here. Trying to minimize those impacts is important as well. And lastly, we do have Metro Park on the far side of the river. It probably goes without saying when minimizing the impacts to the river itself, but there's a potential 4F property there as well. So it's not just an intersection project, it's really a lot of trade-offs and lane things. So it's going to be a good one. We do have the environmental document being prepared by the consultant here. So all those supporting technical studies as well. So we would look for some experience in roundabout and J-Turn design. So with that, questions?
Like earlier you mentioned a 3-lane section in the south. Can you explain if and when and how that will be?
Yeah, the question was, where are we looking at the 3-lane section and when and what will pull that into the project? We do expect that to be part of the scope for any alternative, because while the actual Jewett 315 location was what was flagged for the crash pattern, when you dig into the crash data, a lot of those turns coming out of those side driveways to the west side of 315 are really pulling into those numbers. Those are getting captured in there. We think a 2-way left turn lane is the best way to address that. So I think that's going to be in the scope regardless. Okay. Other questions on Jewett 315? Okay. Steve, sorry, Steve Fellender will be your PM for this one, and he's also the project manager on the other 2 jobs. So that should be helpful. Has a lot of good history in this area in this town. All right, the larger project, this is the major rehab that Tom mentioned. This is MAD Pick 71, mile marker 7.3, which is just south of State Route 56, up to the Franklin-Pickwick County line. I want to highlight here that while we have proposed for that location, we are going to have you look and at least do preliminary engineering work for an additional 3 miles to the south. Originally chose the project limits due to the traffic level drop at State Route 56, but really the actual pavement was built 3 miles farther south that has all the same issues. We want to do the PE work here and try to apply for funding to rebuild that pavement as well. So this project is really being driven by pavement preservation. We've all driven this location in the last year. It's pretty bad, and we're even putting a lot of money, putting $15 million into it in the last year and a half, just doing a minor rehab. I am hopeful it lasts until fiscal year 22, which is what we're asking for delivery here. Really what the issue is underneath the concrete pavement has some aggregate material issues. It's unsound, so every time you do a joint repair, it just moves the problem another 6 foot out. And you're back there revisiting it very quickly. So the scope is to completely replace the pavement. As part of that, one of the first things is to do a geotechnical exploration, provide us a CBR value, and we'll do a pavement design. I do expect concrete and asphalt in an optional bid environment. Got to see the numbers, but I think that we're still pretty competitive there, so we'll expect to have an optional bid design there. One of the first key things is MOTA, even before the feasibility study. So what we want to do is look at and see, can we build this safely, cost effectively without having to do it? So really look and see what's the best way to build this thing safely. Tom mentioned Del Moro 71 as a comparable project. I think that's pretty similar. We don't go in there assuming a third lane. We see, hey, what can we build? I think we're doing contraflow out there today on a minor rehab of some of the structures, and it's performing acceptably, but that's a little different than a 9-mile project. So weighing in on that, that's really the first key item. After that, we'll advance to a feasibility study. And at that point, we expect to have the third lane question answered, and then we can start doing some design level information and figuring out where the impacts. One of the main things there I want to look at, the overhead bridges are in scope. So this is our chance to get vertical clearance. So it can be lowering the pavement, raising the overhead bridges, or some combination. So they may not wind up being built with this contract, but we want to look at that and evaluate those from an engineering standpoint at this point. So that'll be one of the main things coming out of this build study. Another one is the hydraulics design, the EMPs and that type of thing. Again, one of the first tasks is a lot of remote conduit inspection. Have everything over 12 inches called out for inspection, so we can get a good scope out there. Anything less, just gonna assume we're gonna replace it. It's not cost effective to crawl all that. So, and then we'll go through stage 1, 2, 3, final design submittals. Have those all listed. I think we're gonna wanna move pretty quickly. If that condition really drops off, we wanna be ready to sell it sooner than later. So, don't really anticipate right away. There are a few captured streams that are parallel to our right of way. We're working with the Madison and Pickaway County engineers to identify any drainage impacts, and if we need to chase anything outside of our right of way from theirs. So if there is something like that, we try to identify and design around it, but not hold up the main project for that right of way. Talking about structures, I mentioned the overheads, but also looking at a lot of the at-grades. We did, I would say, a fairly major rehab to these structures with the current active project, but we are looking. We added a third lane, we're probably looking for its replacement or at least a major rehab at that point. Maybe keep the steel on some of the steel beam structures, but widening and redecking certainly in scope. There's something like 19 structures in total. A good bit of work. Geometrics. This is a safety and H-tip location for this segment, so any kind of improvements we can make out there, we're looking to do so. At least as a given, we want to get rid of that humped median section, go to a 3-lane or go to a traditional gradient to the middle median ditch with a cable barrier out there. So make at least that kind of improvement. So, I mentioned hydraulics, geotech, structures level 2 due to complexity. We are including ecological studies in the scope. We'll do the environmental document in-house, but just due to the size, we want to include eco in this scope. And there is a small potential for noise analysis. I don't expect that to make it very far into the process, but we do want to include that specialty on our team just so we can have that if we need it for some of the clustered homes. It's a 15% DDD goal, so a little bit larger, but just participation, not development. Touched on the delivery in fiscal year 22, but the sooner we can deliver this, the better. If it's ready to go, the funding tends to flow to it. So, with that, I'll open up to questions.
Tony, there's a lot of things there. Will we be allowed to, will there be an extra page provided for the LOI for this one?
There will be 3 pick your battles there, obviously. I think you've seen kind of what key issues from our point of view. Speaking from a larger perspective, either myself or someone on my staff wrote these too. If you see something that, hey, they missed that this is 59 foot instead of 60, or they missed that you need more time to build this deck closure or whatever, I won't take offense. If you see something I don't, obviously, you're all going to see something. Try to find that value added and see what's going to affect some of our decisions and highlight that. So I think Tom said it well, and there's no need to regurgitate kind of the listing of factual items from our scope. Kind of see what the difference is, identify where's the value added. Hi, our project manager Becky's over there in the yellow. So she's had a lot of good experience with actually adjacent sections of 71. She had the 665 to Stringtown project and some others in the district. So she's got a lot of good experience with this and did a good job. So, questions? Got at least a few on this one.
So you did say the bridges you're going to look at, raising bridges.
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah, we might do a separate contract, see what funding's available. It's one of those things you want to get that vertical clearance while you can, but is it really critical to get that 3 or 4 inches that same year as the pavement? Perhaps not. We do have a history of bridge hits out here, so it is desirable to achieve that.
Could you go over again what you were talking about with the additional 3 miles that you want to review?
Yeah, so basically we just don't have staff in-house to do the PD work to evaluate that segment. And again, that's roughly 3 miles down south. I think it goes to mile marker 4.5. There's a structure over Mud Run that will be included. And basically, we just want to do all the PV work to evaluate the MOT, the drainage costs, the structure costs, that kind of thing. Take that detailed information to our central office and apply for funding. So basically, support our staff and try to get that built as well. Because really, it's all the same issues that are leading to pavement deterioration are also there.
What's your construction cost estimate for the 9 miles?
I believe it's 50 million, so. And that really is gonna, a lot of that's gonna depend, it'll skew a little higher the more we chase those overhead bridges. So that's really at the low end of the work is what's included in that estimate. All right, I'm gonna ask Greg Shannon to come up for this one. Greg is our TISM coordinator for the district. So he's gonna, we'll talk project as well, but he also has some program information, just a good opportunity to speak to that. So,
just to introduce myself a little bit, my name is Greg Chandler. I've been with ODOT for 28 years now. First 7 years at central office, little design. Got to know LD Manuals very well. Came up to District 6 as a traffic engineer for over 10 years, so a lot of you guys that have near my age, I worked with me over several years at District 6. Spent the last 12 years out here in construction, now back in as a TISMO coordinator in District 6. Study limits, we've mentioned, is roughly from 5th Avenue up to State Route 161. Over the last 5-6 years, multiple safety studies have been completed throughout the corridor, with many of the recommended mid to long-term countermeasures for add the hard shoulder running. Another recent study that was completed by AECOM, the active traffic demand, had also highly recommended the hard shoulder running on this section of I-71 corridor. What happened there was that it was in competition with the I-670 corridor. So the I-71 corridor lost out on that one. But from my understanding, we should have an opening October of this year. So we're at least going to have a little lessons learned of what's happening there. A lot of people don't realize this, but yeah, last year, TISMO program was introduced to all 12 districts, with each district being assigned a coordinator. As a TISMO,
The slides will be available after.
we had multiple responsibilities, like I said before. I'm still kind of getting out of the construction business, still running a few jobs there, but imagine District 6 in Central Ohio, we're quite busy with really TISMO activities. And one of our highest and most biggest responsibilities is looking at congestion management throughout all of our corridors. This is real similar to our highway safety program. You know how they come out with a listing every year based upon certain criteria that meet to be on that program. We did something really similar with the TISMO program. We do review of every state route throughout Ohio. And we use a tool called TOAST. If you haven't heard of that, you know what that means, acronyms. It's called Traffic Operations Assessment Systems Tool. Next slide. Thank you, sir. Currently, TOAST uses 7 categories to rank all our highways. There will be 4 additional categories that will be added in the future. Last year was our first list. They come out at the end, August of each year. You know, it's pretty open, southbound wise, beginning of the project. We had that lane that drops just south of State Route 161 to Morrisburg. You know, because it's pretty much already there for us. And northbound wise, we weren't intended at 161. One, we got to look at capacity needs. Is there any additional capacity needs north of 161? Where we've run into some issues that the exit lane actually turns into a dual exit lane, so we would want to already eliminate it before we got into that second exit lane.
Thanks. The only thing I want to highlight, we do have a couple preservation-oriented activities in the feasibility study. We know we have drainage issues, some of the meeting in front of Opera Stadium. We know we have a lot of bad back walls and structure issues. We're going to do either way. We're going to build a preservation project out here, even independent of this feasibility study. Kind of quantify how much of that work is already needed to be done and can be leveraged into an improvement out here. We need to add a lane or widen the structure for MOT anyway. We want to capture that information. Performance-based design is going to be a key item. Obviously, we're going to be modeling all of this and evaluating safety improvement and weighing narrower shoulder, narrower lanes, that kind of trade-off through all of this. So expect for some experience in there to be something we're looking for. You have an 8% DBE goal. We don't really anticipate much environmental work with this, and probably won't clear the environmental document with this bid. We're going to look to secure funding, so minimal involvement there. I think that's the any questions? That is it for the first set of projects. We'll come back with the GPS and construction inspection. So please take a break, and we'll come back here in 15 minutes. All right. We will start with the shared District 9, District 6 General Engineering Services contract. So this is a $1.5 million contract that we're sharing. It's roughly, I believe, $1 million for us, 500. That's not a hard, fast limit, but it's kind of roughly how we have the funding set up. Just kind of talk just general profitable work things. So Holly Grimes will be our project manager for this one. So typically the way we run it is she's handling all the contract stuff and getting all the scopes going, and we have a technical person, a contact for each individual task, or there are a few standalone projects depending on other things. So she's certainly your point of contact for District 6.
So for ours, our consultant manager just recently retired. If any of you guys knew Mark Johansson, Mark is now retired. So he's enjoying life at home. He's still got some young kids, and his wife went to work, so he's gonna be dad for a while. So that'll be exciting for him. So acting is David Beekman is our current district design engineer. David is acting kind of in the consultant role. We're in transition. If any of you guys know Tom Barnett's, we're going to transition Tom over into doing that role. So to start with, Dave Beekman will be your primary contact, whether it's with the contract itself or with the individual tasks.
From a District 6 perspective, there's a couple items that we pretty much say with certainty we'll have on there. Structured design for minor rehab work. We'll be pulling in some help for our in-house designers. Maybe it's a priority system resurfacing, and we need to do a couple bridge overlays or spackle repairs or anything like that. Pulling in those structured design resources. And bridges. Well, sadly, they're about every month now. And our district technical engineer, Jeff just actually just took a position with central office. So he was our go-to guy for bridge hit repairs. So now we're looking for a new one. And until we get that person on board, we're going to need a full on task order. So, surveying, right-of-way plan prep, certainly something we'll be using just to supplement our internal workforce. There are a few situations where even if we have an in-house safety job or resurfacing where we need some right-of-way, pulling in some help there. Greg kind of teased a little bit, TISMO and TOAST analyses. We're going to have more. Greg can't do them all, so we're going to be pulling some of that task into this contract. So don't have the list yet, but we may have that. We'll share that if we can, if it goes out before the final posting. So do expect a few small safety projects. These are kind of turn lanes, signal constructions or upgrades. I say roadway tweaks, but this could be lane shifts, kind of restriping, just little bits and pieces to make a safety improvement with small contracts. So again, following the maximum task order limit for safety, which is still 250, something like that on that order.
125 for general, 165.
Wishful thinking. But,
We can get it.
and PE studies for safety jobs and really anything else in the district that we need, just to get a little more resources to. And then lastly, kind of a specialty activity in schools, potholing and that type of thing. We do have that pulling in with the project that maybe another consultant didn't have them on their team, or more likely an in-house contract. So you have that come up a fair bit. Chris?
So in ours, as you see behind me there, primarily we're looking at some help with plan development. We've got some technicians that are kind of on their way out the door with retirements and things like that. We also have some projects that we weren't anticipating. You looked at the first one on the list, ODNR. In the past, we've had 1 or 2 of these a year. They haven't been that big a deal. I think this year, Dave, we have like 6 or 7 of these things. They go in waves, I guess. I know how familiar you are with District 9, but we've got a couple of state forests, a couple of state parks, and it seems like for whatever reason their funding is being directed to our district all of a sudden in waves. So we need some help with plan development there. Don't anticipate much in survey or geotech or those areas, just primarily plan development in all 3 of these work types. Our geohazard, for those of you who haven't met him yet, Justin Gardner is our new district geotechnical engineer. He's kind of transitioning into more of a project manager role, where when I was the geotech, it was more of a design role, so we're shifting him into more of a project manager role, so you'll probably start seeing more plan development on our landslides and rock falls down there in District 9. The safety projects, we don't see any more of those on the horizon, but with the current governor's interest in safety, we do anticipate the 150 list is not going to be the end of this thing. So just keep your eyes open and be aware that we're spending safety money, and this governor is dedicated to safety. I've been told that's his #1 priority. And so we're trying to be prepared for safety projects that we don't see coming at this moment. So for our GES, those primarily, again, plan development in those 3 project areas. And just want to thank District 6 for giving mine the opportunity to come kind of witness what they're doing here, just kind of outside the box. It's a really great idea, really great show overall. I guess I wasn't expecting this big of a crowd, so really impressed. Thanks for coming out, and let us know if you have any questions. Thanks.
Speak not so much to scope, but maybe as you write your LOIs for the general engineering services, I think a couple things to really emphasize are the depth of your team in some of the key areas. We mentioned structure design, right away, roadways, obviously a pre-qual. Just show us when you get 3 or 4 tasks from us all in a hurry. We wouldn't dump them on you if they weren't urgent for some reason. So how are you going to handle that? I think that is something we look for. It's hard to write an LOI for a scope you haven't been given yet, obviously. Hard for us to review. But if you can just show how you're going to handle those peaks and workload, because that really is how we use this contract as kind of a relief valve for our internal staff, an extension of our staff. How you can express that. Doesn't mean it's not open to small firms, doesn't mean that at all, but it means how do you have depth in those areas, how do you pull in different resources to accomplish the task. So definitely something I would like to see in the LOIs and how to speak to. So with that, any questions on how we use our GESs or LOIs or theming or anything like that? We don't have a goal on this one.
PE studies or small type safety studies
A couple examples we've used in the past is if we do have a safety study and we can't narrow down the scope enough without some DE, without some survey, quantifying where the utilities are, getting some good cost data, and basically performing a study so we can narrow down either to get a good scope for a future programmatic or to apply for funding. So typically try to get funding lined up first, but
Which inspection as well?
yeah, that's a good one to point out. We don't have a ton of underwater inspection, but we do occasionally need help with inspection services, especially on that. Yeah. All right, that's it. I'm going to turn it back over to Chris for construction inspection.
So what we do have on September, besides this joint, GES is District 9 has a standalone construction inspection contract up for September. It'll be a 2-year contract, totaling $2.25 million for those 2 calendar years there. We do anticipate the bulk of those projects to be county engineer projects, so those will be CEINSP funded. In the past, that's been about 90% of our construction inspection. So if you can see a trend, as we can see a trend, as we're using consultant inspection more and more at District 9, and I would venture to guess that's a trend statewide. So be on the lookout for that if you're interested in consultant inspection. We do anticipate around 8 inspectors concurrently at a maximum. So if you need a couple subs to get you that you're 8, just be aware of that. So any questions on the construction inspection? All right.
Are those all general inspectors, or are you looking for structures too, or any soil and aggregate guys, or what's the breakdown, do you know?
I would anticipate probably some county bridges, so probably some bridge guys. I doubt it on the aggregate. Yeah, county bridges is their typical projects. They might have a few like RPM or pavement marking and things like that. So just general inspection. Any other questions? Alrighty, and on to Andrew is next up.
All right, good morning. Again, Andrew Sidnick, District Construction Engineer. It's an exciting time here for our district. We've got a lot of impactful projects. We're changing the face of Columbus, and also, but more than just Columbus, we're changing the face of our district overall. But to do that, we need some assistance. So, first one here, District 6. This will be our 2-year painting contract. So, not a whole lot of details here. We're looking for 3 coatings inspectors. It's an estimate of $600,000 over the 2 calendar years for construction seasons 2020 and 2021 in various bridge painting projects throughout the district. So, just looking for qualified inspectors. Second will be our construction engineering contract. So this will be a $1.5 million estimated over 2 calendar years, again for fiscal year, or construction years 2020 and 2021. Right now we are expecting 3 project inspectors, 1 structures inspector, 1 soils and aggregate inspector, and 2 asphalt level 2 inspectors. In addition to all the construction work we've got going on, our district test lab is one of the busiest in the state. We are consistently running day and nighttime out of our test lab, so we need some assistance there as well for our primarily asphalt inspection on the nighttime shift for our district test lab. Any questions on those 2?
This is the guy who's gonna review.
Any of the idea of some of the projects that will be fall under the?
Not right now. Yeah, it's going to be see how they fall.
Andrew, maybe kind of fall in Franklin County. And just in general, we have a little more availability from our internal staff. It's not a hard and fast rule, but huge goal for our program there.
Yeah, I mean, the bulk of our work Because we are changing the face of Columbus, especially in Franklin County, but. Okay. Now I'll turn it over to Zach Amna. He's going to be the project engineer on the Project 4R downtown project.
Morning, I'm Zach Amna. As Andrew said, I'll be the project engineer on 4R over FRA 70 12.68. Tom Lau over there, and he'll be the area engineer. So I'll try to limit this to an hour to get everybody on. Just going to hit some high points, really, give you an idea of the project overall and some of our needs for the inspection and staffing. So we can see kind of an aerial view there of what one of the ramps for 70 eastbound and 71 northbound to Front Street and High Street will be. So that's one of the unique features of the project there, that flyover bridge. And some schematic views of the project. It's limited to the area of Souder there, you can see on the left-hand side of the sheet, on the west side of the interchange, and on the east side to Front Street and High Street. So essentially the project, the main goal was to split up 71 eastbound and northbound traffic and eliminate a lot of the weave movements. So the project will include some new ramps and several new structures. So you can see the west side of the project and 71 northbound there in the center of the sheet. And then here we get over to the river with the new river crossing. Another big portion of the project there. Some railroad involvement you'll see there in the center of the sheet. And there's that flyover bridge going to Front Street and then High Street there on the right-hand center of the sheet. So what we're looking for, inspection and staffing wise, is going to be one project inspector, a general, 3 structures inspectors. I believe there are 12 structures overall on the project. 1 traffic and electrical inspector, 1 soils and ag, a construction engineer, part-time documentation clerk, and a project inspector intern, which is the pretty new program I think that's come out in the last year, and a part-time schedule reviewer. Some of the major items of work on the project are 16 retaining walls, flood wall construction, so there'll be some Army Corps of Engineers coordination involved with that. 12 structures, quite a bit of electrical work, and water line, sanitary sewer work as well. There'll also be a lot of coordination with City of Columbus, as you can imagine, with the new ramp to downtown and closing some other ramps downtown, and the electrical work. That's all I got for this one. Any questions? Yeah.
Just a comment early on these 2 I've had quite a few jobs recently, is that when we talk about needing these salt inspection, they need to be well versed in not only ODOT spec, but also the City of Columbus spec. It's half the plans and the City of Columbus spec, the other half is ours. We've been running into a lot of issues where I don't know their LOR than the city. So we definitely want to see salt inspectors out there that we know both.
Good.
Everybody in the back hear that? Okay.
What level of CE are you looking for? Are you looking for a CE1 or are you looking for a CE2 to help with the management of the project?
CE2, I believe, is where we are.
CE2?
Yes.
Okay, thanks, I'll hand it over to Tony.
All right. Thank you, Zach, for taking time. For those of you who don't know, Zach's our project engineer on the Smart Lane job, so there's quite a bit going on, so I appreciate him making time. Looking ahead, these are not fully finalized, but it's pretty good information. So just kind of looking ahead and starting in January, and then maybe over the next year and a half. Certainly construction inspection for the 71 pavement reconstruction. That's from the Franklin Pickaway County line to 655. As may have seen, the Darby Bridge is what's being built right now. And so probably bread and butter ag construct. There are a couple structures on there, pavement, that type of thing. So we'll have the details coming out pretty shortly. In general, I'm going to target to have the January programmatic finalized on the blackout list. So the only exception to that might be the September 2019 safety projects. So we're going to do all the legwork we can up front so we can identify them and put them in there, but with the timeline of that funding approval, it doesn't always work out perfectly to have those ready and on hand. So I do expect a couple to pop up from that. So intersections, interchange work, and kind of stay tuned for that. May 2020, I just wanted to highlight some of our staffing changes internally. There was an epoxy overlay project on a couple on 315 and 670. The complexity of that work is a little lower. We're going to pull that in. But don't worry, we're going to push out a bunch of other bridges. So I think pretty good training for you folks. I'll give you a real quick overview. Again, looking over the next 3 programmatics likely. 670 over the Scioto and railroad and a ramp. Do a couple different things. Just really overlay, parapet repair, pier repair, all sorts of basically minor rehab work to a large structure. Another one, the Del 23 corridor. It's got most of the freeway section through Delaware from the district, but what we're looking at there is a lot of back wall and overlay and parapet repairs. Good structures rehab work. It also includes a good bit of drainage. A lot of old line tap structures out there that are really, we've had several emergency repairs out there. We're going to get ahead of it, work with the City of Delaware to get that funded and inspected and get that out there and do all that work under the same MOT. And we'll actually come out later with a district resurfacing plan a couple of years after that. So that's a good project that we expect on the January programmatic in 2020. 270 and 71 Northside ramp bridges. We will be funding rehab, at least redecking and some other preservation work. We are chasing some ramp improvements. So this is, you may have seen the bottleneck or at least the congestion move over from the trench area over to the 270 eastbound, 71 northbound section. Looking at, with that bridge rehab, we have a chance to move some piers and get some better flow through there. So we're going to be going to get safety funding in the fall for that. Assuming we get that money, we'll include that in that project. 315 over the Owen Tangent right in front of campus. Could just be an overlay, but an overlay on that bridge is quite an undertaking with the MOT. Could be a redecking and whatever else chases out there. It's a major bridge, so we're working through that with central office, and we'll have a good scope come out here pretty quickly over when. Another safety job, leveraged with preservation funding, is actually the redecking of Courtright over 7. This on the east side of Columbus. What we're looking to do there, deck's in fair shape, but we're looking to get a pedestrian improvement across that structure. Really not many places across 70 on the east side. You walk out there on your field review, please be careful. It's intimidating being up there over the freeway and there's really not much shoulder. So a very needed improvement. We're going to get that one out there. So really it'll wind up being the sidewalk. Yes, it's an understatement. All right. Another one probably a little farther back in the horizon, but over the next year, 36 over 71, as you're going to the district perhaps. Redecking that. Got a bunch of asphalt overlays, kind of holding it together until we get to some of the major track funded improvements. Probably time to just rip the Band-Aid off and redeck that thing. So get that one going for design and then figure out how to package it with another project later on. Another bridge, minor rehab, 2 of the grade separation structures in the downtown area. One of them's 423 and one of them's 4. Basically, they have bad joints, and some gear repairs, really minor, major rehab, not replacement, but a little more extensive work to them. So, It'll be a good job, work with Marion City Engineer as well. Another one, maybe a shorter term, we may wind up doing this with one of the task orders, but an overlay on 317 over Big Walnut Creek in front of Indiana. That should be a good quick hitter. And then the last one, again, I mentioned with the 71 feasibility study, we're going to do preservation work on that stretch with any of the at-grade 71 structures, carrying 71 main line. We've done a lot of the overheads in the past, and they're holding up pretty good, clearly, but the at-grade ones, we at least need to do backhaul replacements, overlays, parapet cleanup, that kind of thing. So there's something on the order of 10 to 15 structures in that stretch, so regardless of the HSR results, we're going to have a contract. So, and then the exact scope will be dependent on the feasibility study. So again, that one will probably fall a little more towards the back end of the time frame. So most of the detail I have, but any quick questions on that?
All the bridge groups, it's your time.
You have a start date on that 4R project. Just when do you think you'll need people, timing wise?
Madison, pick away one.
Spring of next year, we'll be starting construction.
Yeah, it said spring of 2020 for the start date for 4R.